Welcome to the Angel's Brief, the podcast series. We bring together the smartest minds in angel investing and ambitious startup founders to share their stories, insights, experience, and much more. The host for today's episode is Doron, the CEO of CitySide Ventures and the co-founder of Birmingham Angels. So let's get to it.
Okay, so our guest today is Michael Pickholz. Michael is the CEO of MagWerks Vision, which is one of our portfolio of companies. Michael is also alumni of Stevens Institute of Technology with a degree in mechanical engineering, spent 25 years in various management positions in the automotive industry with companies such as DBM, Reflect, Sealink International, Material Works, and Magneti Marelli. So we can say being around the block for a while. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. Pleasure being here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. So let's start with a bigger question. Why did you start MagWerks? What was the pain point, the opportunity, what did you see that caused you to start the company?
Been in the automotive industry all my career since I graduated from college, but have been involved in a lot of introducing innovations to the business, and I found that that is doing something better, a better mousetrap. That's not in itself mean anything,
right?
Because it's found that it's very difficult to get companies to change their ways. So if we want to do something that is truly innovative and different, it's in automotive is extremely difficult. And this brings me back just one very quick anecdote. In 2015, when the industry very much said everything is going to be autonomous by 2025. Here we are, 2025. I didn't see it happening, and I'm not glad to say, just factually saying that it did not happen. But in my business, which is vehicle illumination, mainly headlights, the forecast was that there will be no headlights necessary other than just something that lights up, because everything will be autonomous. Well, we are in a situation where it's exactly the opposite. Autonomy is not working, and a lot of companies exited the lighting business. Particularly, I'm talking about headlights, which are regulated.
So just to give people a background, so MagWerks Vision, it's a company that designed and deliver headlights for difficult in the mobility space.
Correct.
And the main difference between what MagWerks product and what's in the market is that instead of using plastics, you're using magnesium housing and silicon lenses.
That is correct. So that was one of the challenges that came up with technologies which are entirely different from what the industry uses. And it's working from within. It turned out to be impossible. So that was the impetus to create MagWerks Vision and go after mobility, not automotive. I mean, our technologies apply, but don't have the taste.
So the advantage of the product is better, lighter, more illuminated, and cheaper.
All of the above, yeah, correct. We have actually created, I don't know if it's a holy grail, but it is definitely we're getting, we just landed a patent for our optical system. First major change in this type of optics, which I won't get into the details, in 30 years. Wow. Since the introduction of LED, and the main thing is that it works. Now we have demonstrators. We can show it works. It's not theory. It's not hot air. It's fact.
So you started the company when?
This iteration of the company, 2021.
2021. So in the last 3 to 4 years time frame, what did you learn from your journey of, because you're not a young chick anymore. This is probably
far from it.
This is probably going to be your last rodeo, right? So you started the company at a later age. And by the way, statistically shows that founders, more mature founders from between the age of 50 and 60 are more successful than the 21 years old. But that's a different episode, different conversation. So you started a company, and what do you learn from your journey that is going to be value to other founders to listen to? Maybe the top 3 things that you recommend, or you said, this is my learning from my journey so far?
But one thing is that you have to have perseverance to a degree that you never anticipate. That you think you come up with a good idea or even many solutions, and depending on, particularly in automotive and in Detroit, this ecosystem.
So perseverance
Very
is
different.
one. What else?
Find access to some money because it's very, very difficult otherwise. I have not been, so as I say, raise money from family members from this. Well, some people have that opportunity. In my case, I don't, because I'm the only one of my kind here. No family, so that's wasn't an option. Don't trust the automotive companies. I mean, never mind how bad things are today, but that is not practical. Don't believe anything they say, and like I said, persevere. That's all I can say.
I got it. So, and we're now touching on part of this podcast is to also give investors perspective on the founder's experience. So what was your experience thus far raising early stage money here in Michigan?
Very difficult. Primarily because we are in a field that is not talked about in the news as a whole. There are very few people who understand lighting. Everybody experiences lighting, but nobody talks about it. So it's not something that's in the
it's not as sexy as other things.
It's not sexy, but I was thinking, and it's not the best analogy. For instance, the other day you had a fantastic company that was doing developments in cancer treatment. Absolutely fascinating, and it made me think. I said, well, that's something most people relate. I certainly do, because my wife is under cancer treatment. But I also say, wait a second, don't we all drive cars or are affected by vehicles, whether you take an Uber, where you're taking a bus, where you're walking down the street? Illumination is critical, and it's because accident rates are going through the roof, and at night. And therefore, that's one of the topics that really gets me going.
So the difficulties come from not having access to the network of money. Is the challenges because the automotive industry going to a lot of rough patches right now? What is it?
All of the above. Actually, I was just talking to an acquaintance before this, and everything you hear is that the supply base to the automotive is absolutely in shambles, which you hear from every source. So automotive right now is not where you want to be at. In our case, we have gone in a different direction, which is military, and that is wide open. It's almost out.
It's day and night, right?
Day and night, yes, absolutely.
Remember, we talked when you started MagWerks Vision, the first time we actually had the discussion about it, you were going after the startup EV companies.
That is correct.
And we kind of say, it's a red light.
Right, you are.
Right.
It is, for one thing, for instance, all the companies that went through SPAC transactions have all failed, pretty much.
Right.
So it's correct, and most of them don't have the funds or don't even understand what they're asking for.
Right. Now, Michael Plocker, which you know, running one of the largest German auto supply, was here when we did the segment on automotive. And one of the things that Michael said is that the automotive business is going to a lot of tough decisions they need to make right now.
Right.
Because there's a big migration for people that own an EV going back to combustion engine or a hybrid version.
Correct.
So it's like a regression in that perspective. And the automotive companies kind of spending some innovation and stopping the spending of money on technology until they will figure out what's the right balance, right?
That is correct. And because of the dire situation the whole industry is, and let's not forget, everybody knows that there was COVID. Now there's this downturn related to EVs not clicking, and governments pushing EV, change to EVs. It's an absolutely ungodly mess.
Right. So, so in terms of actually raising money here in Michigan, early stage money, what are some of the critical, noticeable challenge and stops issue that you faced so far?
I believe that one of the main issues is because we have hardware. It has not been sexy, like you said, the term you used earlier, and therefore it has not been in the consciousness of investors. And it's a problem. LED lighting. I have LED lighting in my house, my vehicle. So what is there to do? What kind of improvements? It just simply being is given short shrift,
Right.
and not even considered.
Okay.
Well, there's a lack of understanding, and also here everything is automotive centered. So if it's not a big tier one supplier with a big name on top of your
Okay,
building,
so we established first thing is the industry. What else?
well, they like you said, a startup supplier in a field which is perceived to be controlled by large corporations says you will never succeed.
So competition, it's maybe another issue that stops us. Like
it's a perception of the competition, not the
Perception.
actual competition, because and that's part of our issue, that we have delivered the goods, but if we told people even when we tell people right now we are doing this, they don't believe us. It's a rather odd situation. So, but finally,
being like a startup company or a small supplier in an industry that's going to some tough time right now, it's a red light for investors.
Oh, absolutely, it's a red light for me. I don't seek to engage in any kind of discussion with the automotive companies, even though our solutions would greatly improve what they're doing. They will save the money and weight and etc.
Okay, so I know you've been around the state. Birmingham Angel is it's one group, but you visit other angel group and investment group across the state of Michigan.
Correct.
What your perspective on the angels ecosystem here in Michigan? And you don't have to be gentle.
So far, it has been for us, except for CitySide Venture, to be salient exception. No success, no luck. As a matter of fact, we've been pretty much dismissed.
Okay. So is this not give you consideration because of the industry, not give you consideration because of something else?
Part of it, I think, I'm assuming, is the lack of understanding of the topic. And again, it's not spoken about. I mean, like this morning, the market crashed because of the AI news from China, which seems to be a lot of hot air, but that's okay. But that's what's driving the market. AI now is the flavor of the week, or the month, or the year. It's a current flavor. Lighting, who cares? But they don't understand. There's a lack of understanding how important it is to all of us, because you don't want, not only when you're driving behind the wheel, but you don't want to be run into because people don't see you. And that's something that we have yet to get people to understand.
Okay. So we established that automotive business is a tough business to get into. And, yes, according to Michael, the cycle that used to be a long cycle even before COVID, even before the recent crisis, to get as a supplier to the automotive business is usually a long process. And now it's even become even longer.
Not only longer, but the manufacturers are not paying their suppliers. The suppliers are and they're delaying programs, so they're not making money.
Mm-hmm.
They're expecting lower costs all the time, but it's the same thing, just cheaper. So it's just not worthwhile to engage. On the other hand, as I indicated, we found that in the military it's a completely different ball game. And just a quick mention about that. I was speaking to a good friend of mine. I said, well, the only industry here in Detroit is automotive. I mean, major. And I said, well, no, you have a massive corridor of military applications in Sterling Heights and Warren. And most people don't realize that they're massive.
It's actually it's a good point. So let's for the audience put it in context. The largest industry in Michigan, despite what people think, is healthcare.
Correct.
Second one is automotive. Third one is defense, and then agriculture and food tech. that's the court order in terms of when I travel outside of Michigan and I say Michigan, people immediately say automotive. I say it's not the largest industry in Michigan. They say, what do you mean? I said healthcare is. And they go, really?
Correct. No, I totally appreciate that. And people don't realize that you go to Sterling Heights and you have massive tier one.
And it's getting bigger and bigger in the last few years.
Companies are moving into the Detroit area from Canada, from other places. And right now there's for good or for bad, a resurgence in military activities. Instead of destroying vehicles, are being refurbished. So it's a absolutely
it's
massive
a booming
growth.
Industry.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you look backwards, you heard the expression, you don't know what you don't know. So if you're looking backwards, what are the things you didn't know that you didn't know that if you knew then, it will change the course of your journey?
Well, as I indicated, don't trust the automotive companies. That's something I learned the hard way.
Right.
Not something that was told, but I've experienced. The other part is getting into the military, how easy it is. You get non-dilutive funding. Yes, that's correct. But what it takes to get there, that you're not told. And then you learn the hard way. And it was very, very hard. But if you can overcome and you break through the ceiling, as we're doing right now, the prospects are just mind-boggling.
Got it. So one of the things you say that it's, and I think we talked about it before, knowing that pivoting, it's actually a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Correct.
Right.
So we, as you indicated, my original thought was, okay, mobility and everything else, that turned out to be a non-starter. But on the other hand, and what's driving it in the military, for instance, is the fact that there are so many obsolete products. The military is not, they don't do fashion, right? So if a product works, they'll continue to use it. And what's happening is many suppliers go out of business for many reasons. People grow old, and obviously sell or go out of business are acquired, and new investors take a different tack. So it is a complete set of. It's also a complete different environment. So you have to learn something entirely new. And every time you talk about, like for instance, in automotive we do this. No, military is not automotive.
Right.
It's similar in many respects, technically, but it's not automotive.
Because, true or false, but the military is the user of product. They don't make product.
I was just going to say precisely that. I'm glad you brought that point. When you sell to a automotive manufacturer, you're really not selling to them. You're selling to the end customer, which is us. We buy those vehicles. When you go to the military, they are the end customer. And there's a lack of understanding that is who you're catering to.
Right. So it's basically you have the aftermarket for the military to replace some of the original products.
By and large.
By and large.
And what has happened is, again, this attrition of companies for whatever reason going out of business or no longer making certain products. For instance, when you use something for many, many years and the technology changes, the supply dries out. Like, for instance, light bulbs. Who's using light bulbs anymore? Everything is LED. So if we're relying on a light bulb, now you find yourself stuck.
So it's a great point. So we know that MagWerks, it's pivoted recently within the last year or so to the military.
2 years, yes.
And you start getting some tractions, and we know some good news and some stuff to develop and some programs are already in place. If you close your eyes and say MagWerks 2030, what do you see?
Our objective is to become the preeminent supplier to the vehicular part, anything as vehicles in the military. So when I say vehicles, it could be land vehicles, obviously the Army, but it's also the Marines and the Navy, and also and as well as the aircraft, because we have developed technologies. For instance, you mentioned the magnesium initially is something that is not brand new. We got the patents quite a few years ago, but now it's coming. It's becoming of
It's
primary
because
importance.
it's lighter, right?
Primarily because of it lighter. And now there's indications that it's going to be less expensive than aluminum. Just got something over the weekend. So something we saw should have happened earlier. It hasn't happened, but we still have the patent.
So 2030, MagWerks is a mega supplier for the military. You think at that point, 2-3 years down the road, MagWerks is going to be positioned to piss the big boys enough that they say, well, time to acquire the company.
Correct. As people have advised me, this is not me saying it says, don't go to them, let them come to you. And also an interesting part of the military products is that they're really dual use in our area, and we don't make cannons.
And the unique thing about, I want people to know that the unique thing about MagWerks, you design the lighting, you produce the product by outsourcing. So MagWerks is basically don't have any manufacturing cost, inventory cost, anything.
That's absolutely correct. We have developed a relationship with a extremely competent company, a manufacturer located near St. Louis, Missouri. It's an aftermarket, very well-known lighting supplier with everything under the sun. They've been around for over 10 years. Moved to a brand new plant 3 years ago, and it still looks brand new. I was just there. And they have everything from everything that is required for us to operate. I said, well, why are we working together? Because we are in two different lanes. So we're entirely complementary. I know the owner, so I have made it quite clear. I know his business, like aftermarket, retail aftermarket. I don't want to touch it.
Right. So basically the value of MagWerks, in most part, it's the IP and the patent you have on the technology. That,
and the know-how, to implement it, exactly. But
right.
You're absolutely correct. And we have about 12 patents right now. In the past 13, 14 months, we have obtained 5 new patents. And they're quite significant because they're in our core optical technology, silicon technology, which includes optics and how to make the lamp. So, for instance, what makes silicon unique? One of them is it's extremely robust. You can literally throw rocks at it and it doesn't break,
right,
which nobody else can claim. And something which is losing a little bit of luster, which is the fact that it's completely recyclable. So is magnesium.
It's
magnesium, and both of them are not recyclable in principle. They are recyclable in fact. That is, that people who are recycling silicon and magnesium today, which means that it's not a theory. It's not like, oh, I have a new recyclable plastic, which nobody uses. This is something that is used.
No, I know. But the reason I'm saying it for the investors out there, and by the way, investors that see that and this episode, and you're interested in learning more about MagWerks and the capital requirement and the money raised, you're welcome to reach out to us. Any of us can provide you with the information about that. But one of the things the investor need to know, kind of mini pitch for a minute, is that the value of the companies, of the IP that they hold, they provide the product to the end user without spending a lot of money on manufacturing,
Correct.
not running their own stuff. So it's a very lean operation, high profit margin business, which we see could be huge, especially in what's happening in Michigan right
Correct. So we pride ourselves being an assets light strategy. And as I was starting to say, the lights that we're developing for the military are dual use. That is, that they can find their way not in normal automotive so much as in ATVs, UTVs, agriculture, mining, etc. And the attributes that make sense to the military, more durable, longer lasting, etc., all carry forward. So we don't have to do anything different. But if somebody wants to buy it, we're more than willing to sell it.
Got it. All right, that's good. So if you're looking at as a last call, is any other things you want to tell investors, founders, people in driver's seats from your experience that they should know?
Well, as far as what we're doing, I think it's already lighting is becoming one of the, interestingly enough, talked about points, particularly the brightness of headlights that's becoming so annoying and to some degree dangerous. I certainly can appreciate that because I'm not a young pup anymore.
Right.
And as we grow older, our eyes are not able to adjust to glare from headlights. And that is a topic that is now becoming, how can I say, a top topic, as I say. Our technology allows us to overcome that very, very well. So we're very conscious of what is important today. And we know, we don't just say so, that we have technology which is quantum levels ahead of everybody else.
I appreciate it, Michael. Well, I
thank you.
appreciate you taking the time to come here
Likewise.
and
Thank you
be
very
guest
much,
on the
Doron.
show. I wish us to have 2025 being a milestone year for all of us in terms of
Great.
business development. And
Thank you.
I'm sure we're going to catch up along the way as the company progresses and grow.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Are you interested in becoming a member and joining our group? Please contact Doron York by phone 248-981-6688 or visit our members' website by using the following QR code. We are looking forward to talking to you soon.